Hi there. I'm here this morning to show you a little bit about how to set up a Zoom appointment for advising sessions that you can do remotely with students. As Linfield faculty, staff, and students, general community members at Linfield, we do have access to Zoom through the ITS department. So the easiest way to get started with setting up a Zoom meeting is to search Zoom Linfield in your browser. And this will take you to the ITS webpage about Zoom. You can access Zoom from a desktop application if you download that. It is free to download. You can download it as a phone application. And I prefer, it's just easiest for me to copy and paste the URL into my browser, which is linfieldcollege.zoom.us. This will take you to the Zoom sign-in page. If you click sign in, you're going to use the same CatNet credentials that you use to access WebAdvisor, as well as your Linfield email account. And once you're logged into Zoom, you can play around with setting up your profile and things, but the easiest way to get started with just scheduling a new meeting is click on Schedule a New Meeting. Here you can fill out various things of information. It's really important to make sure that you do fill out when the meeting will take place. I also like to have a different advising meeting set for each advising appointment I'm going to do. You can have a recurring advising meeting, or you can set up a unique meeting room for each advising appointment that you're going to have. So as an example, advising check-in meeting on 3/31 at 1:15 p.m. So I've put it here in the topic title, but I also want to make sure that I set it for my time. Here, if you look at the drop down, you don't have 1:15 p.m. as an option, but if you just type in 1:15, it will give you a drop down option there. The duration of your appointment, it doesn't really matter what you put here, because you can have your meeting in Zoom go as long or as short as you want. It's not going to turn off just because you have exceeded what you put in here. So it doesn't really matter, but you could put the approximate duration here. If you have this template saved for your advising check-in meeting on Zoom, it will preload everything for you if you're doing the same thing over and over again for setting up your advising meetings. And I can show you how to save this as a template at the end. You could put the name of your advisee here if you wanted to, just so it's clear to you as you're keeping organized here which advising meeting is for who. Down here for meeting ID, your personal meeting ID is the one that is associated with your Zoom room. So every Zoom account has essentially your office. Your Zoom room is your personal meeting ID. If you sent this out to every advisee, they would be able to access that room at any time, unless you have set restrictions to it. And that's fine, and some people prefer it that way, but sometimes this presents difficulties if one student is coming into the room while you're still meeting with another student. You can enable a waiting room to help with this, or you could generate a specific meeting ID for each unique meeting that you're going to host, which is likening that to having a meeting in a different room for each advising appointment. You can set a password. I've never done that, so it hasn't really been something that I've needed to do, but you're welcome to set a password if you're concerned about people being able to access and jump into a Zoom meeting. You can tell when people are in a meeting, you can tell everybody who's coming into your meeting. So it's not like somebody would come in and be watching the meeting without your awareness of it. You can set your settings differently for the host versus the participant. Most of the time, it would be likely that you'd be having video and audio for both you as well as your advisee, unless you wanted to do it via telephone or just audio. You can let the person that you are advising and hosting this meeting with come into your Zoom room before you if you want, or you can make it so that they must request access into the room. So I've unchecked that so that they have to request access to come into the room. I also like to keep this muted for participants to be muted when they come in, especially if you are going to be doing group advising. That way their ambient noise as they're coming in to the Zoom room isn't going to be disruptive to whatever's going on already, or if they're going to be late. You can enable the waiting room here. That's the feature that allows students to be able to be in a queue to be coming into your advising sessions later if you want. Again, you don't have to use that. One thing I do recommend is utilizing headphones during your Zoom meetings so that any concerns with privacy as you're doing advising from your own home, you can keep all of your conversation in your earphones so that people around in your house don't need to hear everything that's going on. So that's something you can utilize as well. Once you save this meeting, you can double check that your topic as well as your times match one another. So March 31st at 1:15 p.m. You can add this to your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar, depending on what you like to utilize. And if you do that, it will have the information in there. So I can show you what that looks like. I did also want to show you that you can make this as a meeting template, and you can edit it at any time if you want to. So you can make the template name Advising Check-In, save as a template, and then later when you go to make more advising meetings, you can drop down to that template and it will pre-populate these settings for you. So if you want to add this to your Outlook calendar, you can click that there. Or what I like to do is I like to copy the invitation just by clicking copy. Then I can open up my Outlook calendar and I can make a meeting with the student. I paste all of that information in there. I generally go to this Join Zoom Meeting URL and I will just click the space bar right after it to make sure that it's clear what the URL is here. And I also copy that URL into the location. Advising Check-In with Katie. And I make sure that the date is accurate. Again, this will be automatically done for you if you do just download that Outlook option from the Zoom website. And then you send it to your advisee. And you can see here it's been added to my calendar. If you have any other questions regarding how to set up an advising appointment on Zoom, just let us know. You can reach out to us at advising@linfield.edu, or you can check out updates on our advising webpage at linfield.edu/advising.